Hi guys and welcome back. It is Sharp Solutions Carpet and Upholstery Cleaning, Supply, Install and Repair. Right then, quite a large 4-bedroom house this one, all the carpeted areas. The carpets, I've had a quick look, they're not in bad condition at all. They are dark though, greys and things like that, and they can sometimes hold quite a lot of soil in, to be fair, and you can be quite surprised just how much can come out of them. All decent sized rooms, like I say. We've got a stain in here. The customer said that it was Rubicon, so a sugary based stain. So obviously we'll be using the correct solutions to break down those sugars and take that out, and hopefully with this being a polypropylene carpet, we haven't got any permanent staining. For those that don't know, polypropylene solution dyed carpets, when obviously new, it is made out of plastic, so rightfully so, when something's spilt on it, it should slide straight down the fibre. The grease in it or the sugar in it can cling to the fibre, but it shouldn't actually penetrate the fibre, meaning that it is a stain safe carpet for those that don't know how it works. But then obviously if a carpet is used, walked on, and then fibres become what you call worn, grazed, let's say, it can open them up. They can then become porous, so then that stain can get locked inside the fibres. And obviously then we're not dealing with a spot, we are dealing with a stain. So a lot of the time in high walk areas, when the carpet's been down a while and the pile has seen some use, that's when you can get a stain even on a man-made carpet. It is easier though to remove, other than kind of nylon carpets and wool carpets, because obviously wool, that takes on the colour, that re-dyes the actual fibre 9 times out of 10. So less of that and more of looking around. Switch this light on. You can see obviously there's been what looks like maybe a sofa there, and those fibres are virtually untouched, so they're virtually new. This is not going to look like that. I was just about to say, I can smell kind of spirits, terps, something like that, and I'm just looking down here at these lighters for the burner there, and that's what they'll be. As a carpet cleaner, you do have to have your wits about you, especially when it's an empty house. You don't know if a company's been in and they've already used something, and that's what you can smell. Sometimes people do use things that shouldn't really be used to take stains out. It can leave odours. It can also cause all sorts of damage. Delamination in the carpets. This one here and the one in the dining room do look okay. For safety, those curtains will be going up. This is really aimed at anyone that's getting into carpet cleaning, and these little pointers, I hope they help you. It's not a tutorial channel, but sometimes I do share little bits and bobs, and obviously hope that you can take something away from it. So I can see just down this side, we've got a few rat tails, and that is the nylon from the backing of the carpet. That will need addressing, and with something just literally popping back in. You can see we've got them all the way along this back wall. So that is in the trade as a carpet fitter, what we call a rat's tail. It's just when the nylon that runs through the backing obviously just pops up. In fact, while we're here, just in case there is any surprises, I like to get the curtains up. Fine down there, just obviously a vac. Let's have a look at this one. You never know, these hidden places sometimes. I do trust customers, but then you can get those that try and hide little bits and bobs. The worst thing is if you've not addressed the customer about it, you go and clean and then they blame you afterwards, because unfortunately not everyone is as honest as you'd probably like them to be. So let's get some lights on in this hall. It's quite a large house. Stairs are wider than normal, touching a metre nearly where I live in the Midlands area. The average stairs is anywhere between 80 and 90 centimetres. These look more like they're coming on for a metre. We can see on the knuckle here where the traffic's been going over it with the foot. It's cleaner than this kind of area, you know, and that area is cleaner, if you can just see that. So this area here looks slightly different. Maybe someone's had a go at cleaning something off there. That can happen. Sometimes it can just be a shadow, but that ain't a shadow. Okay, so decent sized landing. Not huge, but it's a decent size. And we've got what probably would have been back in the day a toilet, this room here, because these houses have done quite a few. They used to have a bathroom and a toilet next to each other, but it looks like someone has maybe turned a bedroom into the bathroom, leaving this now as probably a storage cupboard. Okay, so that would have been a bedroom and they partitioned it and put the toilet in there. But these houses around here, knowing them, it's not very often that it's that configuration. Sink in the room, so it could have even been a B&B at some point, you know. I love doing the little investigation works as you go around. You probably do it yourself, and if not, get into it because it's good. A lot of the time you can then understand what the soiling levels are, what there could be, depending on who was living in the house, how it was, and all different bits and bobs, you know, where we can see here, looks like a bed has been here. Chest of drawers over there with the imprint of the carpet. If you can see that, we've got an imprint here. So it looks like the bed's been either here or here. That's your main walk area. I've just seen a stain down here. Just there, just a little one. This is a polypropylene carpet, so we don't know if it's a stain or a spot. A spot's removable and a stain isn't. A stain takes advanced treatments. So there is a little bit of delamination in this room, and it's just down here. So I have explained to the customer that obviously that is delamination. So there is no way apart from fixing it, pulling it back, adding some latex glue to the backing, having that dry out and then refitting it, which we do. Carpet repair now, there's a lot of people throughout the UK and abroad. It's becoming very, very big, which is great. You know, it's good that all customers know that a repair as such can be done. Save them obviously hundreds if not thousands, depending on the quality of the carpet, whether they're moving in or moving out of a property, if it's the bond that they're trying to get back. You know, sometimes it can be anywhere from £1,000 to, I've heard of almost £3,000, depending on the property type. So getting the customers their bonds back is always a good thing to do, and obviously you do get really happy customers if you can repair carpets competently. Unfortunately, as that's grown, there is companies out there that are doing it and not having the sufficient kind of training, time spent, and they can, like any other trade, like carpet cleaning itself, give the trade a bad name, you know. Rinse extraction, for instance, you know, why I'm on the subject, just took a large booking yesterday, and the owners, it's a business, and the owners of the business were concerned about rinse extraction as the last cleaner that cleaned. They did use a portable machine and obviously drenched the carpets, and they were saturated. They said they took nearly a week to dry out, and they obviously got that fusty smell. So that would have been not the machine. You can clean with portables to the same standards as you can clean with a truck mount machine. It's just obviously truck mounts do the job faster. It would have been a case of either rushing, or the vacuum motors might have been on the way out, so suction might have been poor. You know, a pump's still going to let out what it's going to let out depending on what PSI you've got it set to. So for instance, if you was to set a pump to, let's say, 220 PSI, that's quite a lot of water release. If your vacuum motors are old and not sucking like they once was, let's say, obviously they're not going to recover that water as good as two brand new vacuum motors would. So it's all about suction. I've got a couple of things that I say about carpet cleaning, and that is the steps need to be followed. So luckily, most of this has been vacked. They're not overly soiled, so apart from large debris and a quick flick over every room, I won't be going mad on the vacuuming, because normally I would be going north, south, east and west, especially if I'm doing low moisture. The vacuum time then is, for me, one of the main areas that I hit hard if I'm doing low moisture, because obviously I'm really relying on that vacuum and the suction power to remove as much dry particulate soiling as possible, because then whatever stuck to the fiber's surface with greases and oils and things like that that come off the feet, that should come away with the solution of choice for obviously low moisture or iron capping. So with rinse extraction, you just got to make sure that you do enough dry strokes and that your vacuums are working well. When it comes to portables, I would normally change my vacuums about every 18 months to 36, so anywhere kind of, let's say 2 to 3 years. You know, I wouldn't try and get as much vacuum time out of those motors as possible, because a lot of the time you probably wouldn't notice just how much suction a motor's losing as it starts to get older, especially if it's had water sucked through it. And although it be still lifting, it would never be lifting like it was when it was new. And then when you put new vacuum motors in, I've done this way back in the day, you get 2 new vacuum motors and all of a sudden your portable is the best thing since sliced bread, and it's as powerful as power can get. And that's because obviously they're brand new. So it works different with electrical equipment than it does kind of truck mounted equipment running off diesel or petrol. Because when you've got an engine, obviously the combustion of that is always going to be the same, and if it's not, you're going to know about it. So that's the difference there, and that's why they're much more dependable, let's say, on that aspect of it. But then obviously your billing is going to be more when it comes to servicing and repairing parts and bits and bobs like that. So yeah, this one I really thought I'd just talk a little bit more for anyone that's planning on getting into the industry or is already in it but not been in it for a long time. I might need a few pointers, so if I can help you along the way, then that's my job done in this one. It's not very often I talk about the steps, but sometimes I do. So this radiator, they've had it up for pipe work. It doesn't look brand new. We've got a chip there, could be, but looking at it, it's probably had a leak or something on the valve. We've got a missing cover there, so they've had it up to do some work, and obviously the plumbers have not popped down the carpet correctly, so you can see where it's still big. So little bits and bobs like this when it comes to our company. I do say to the customers, you know, to make it look better, that's something I could do for free. Or sometimes the charge, it all depends on, is it a quick fix or is it something that's going to take, you know, a certain amount of time. Now that's holding the stretch, so I'm not going to have to get a stretcher, and it's just literally bolstering the carpet back down. It's going to take, if a minute, you know. So for something like that, that's going to make the carpet look a lot better. The customer's going to be a lot happier. It's a nice little thing to be able to do. So doing things like this as carpet cleaners can help your business. You know, I think carpet cleaning in general has come a long way over the years, from just cleaning the carpets to, yes, titivating now. More and more are getting into repair. So there's a lot of companies out there that actually do stretch carpets. There's some out there that actually fit carpets and clean them, a lot like my own. And then you've got identical companies to my own that literally supply flooring, install carpets, vinyls, and then clean carpets with all methods as well, from low moisture, dry cleaning and rinse extraction. And it keeps us busy, because if there's one thing I've learned over the years, when we were just flooring suppliers and installers, that was the only string we had to our bow, let's say. And sometimes throughout the year, as most trades, we would get quiet. So just adding to that, we got the call for it. A lot of our customers were asking, do we clean carpets? And obviously back in the day, way back, we didn't, it didn't take us too many years though to realise we're missing the trick. So nowadays, a lot of our customer base is, we would fit a carpet and then we would literally give them an email 12 months later for the annual clean. And 9 times out of 10, if the customer has listened to us and they treat the carpet with respect, like taking off their shoes and vacuuming it regularly, even if it's bedroom, stairs and landing carpets, that a lot of customers think don't need the attention as much as, let's say, used areas that people are going to see, like lounges and things like that. They're wrong, because dust is still falling. That dust then gets crushed into the fibres. That then creates wear on the fibre, making the carpet look older. So I always say, you know, get round with a vacuum as much as you possibly can, but there is a limit to kind of not going there. And that is, I always say, a stairs carpet, for instance, you know, it's going to need vacuuming at least once every couple of weeks. You know, bedroom carpets, same sort of thing. Loungers, you know, really, to be fair, maybe a couple of times a week, because they are going to get more footfall, let's say. So they are probably going to need a little bit more. And that, you know, really does help the lifespan of any carpet. Good quality carpets, woven back carpets and things like that, they do tend to last longer. The construction's better, the grouping of the pile is tighter. They do tend to be visibly longer lasting and look better to the eye. You know, the average kind of Wilton, Axminster, that kind of quality of carpet can be down anywhere from kind of 20 to 40 years. I've even took up carpets that have been down longer than that, and even when I've took them up, you know, apart from maybe on the knuckle of the stair it getting a bit thin, they've still got a lot of life in them, so you do get what you pay for. Unfortunately, in this day and age, most will find that we're living in a chuck away society where people like to change their decor more frequently. They like to change their colours, designs, interiors, and that goes along with the carpet. So they tend to put in lower budget carpets because all they're bothered about is the colour of the carpet and the comfort of it. And again, a lot of customers think that the comfort comes from the carpet. So 9 times out of 10, they go for these big, thick, piled carpets that in high walk areas do not last 5 minutes. I try and educate my customers and anyone that wants a carpet supplying by myself I always go for tight grouped piled carpets. That's what I try and push, because I want my customers to get the most out of their carpets. I want them to get the most time on use, and that is going to always be a tighter piled carpet. Now, back in the day, there was a lot of salespeople pushing wool. It's got its reasons. You know, wool is naturally stain safe because it's got a natural occurring kind of stain safe chemical within the wool that the sheep makes, obviously called lanolin, and that is a repellent in itself. So when, you know, spills and things happen on wool, it's not always as unforgiving as people think, and a lot of the time you can get quite severe staining out as long as the carpet has been cleaned in the past correctly with wool safe solutions, or solutions that have been fully rinsed out and done no damage to the pile, because that is the danger when it comes to natural carpets. But when it comes to synthetic carpets, if you can get a nice tightly grouped carpet pile, like per square inch, if it's going to be an action back carpet, you know, something like 21, 26 tough per square inch is going to be a much better solution than something that's got 12. When it comes to woven back carpets, you can get looser woven back carpets that actually do look better over time, because the quality of the construction of the backing keeps the fibers more rigid, and where comes from the pile having room to move. So the looser that pile, the more you vacuum it and walk on it, and the more movement it's got, the faster it is going to wear out. We can see down here we've got a join. So this room is over 4 meters wide. It looks like it's about 430. So that line there is a join, if I can get down to it. In fact, yeah, it's a terrible, terrible join. We've got to be really careful here, because that has not been put down correctly. It has been spray glued. So that is a felt back carpet, and this join has been glued with a spray adhesive to the backing of the carpet, and that's why it is now separating. When it was done originally, that was probably up, but because they've used no seam sealer on the join there, what's happened is it's pulled away. The fibers probably have fallen out with vacuum, making it more visible, but it's actually moved. You can see there is a gap. That's the underlay that you can just see, that brown bit there. There is a gap between the join, so moisture in those areas is not going to help. We'll just go steady with them, but they're documented so the customer knows. There's one down here as well. You can see we've lost pile, and that's because the join was never done correctly, you know, and this goes out to fitters. You know, this, by the looks of it, was probably fitted. I'm not going to say a qualified fitter, although sometimes it can be, and they can just be rushing, because when it comes to budget carpets, sometimes fitters can think, we'll throw this down, you know, they've not spent a lot on it, it's going to be up in 5 years, which shouldn't happen. You know, no matter what the customer spent on the carpet should be fitted correctly, and that should have always had an heat seaming tape underneath it to obviously secure the carpet for the life of the carpet down on the floor. It's just not fair, it's not on, it's been done inadequately, and the customer in the long run has paid the price for it, because that's going to get worse and worse with vacuum. The only way to obviously fix it, and it's coming up quite easy, would be to pull it back, pop some proper tape under there and heat seam that together. You would get away with it, it's only a little bit, just a normal knee kicker would get the stretch on that, or I would use my joining clamps and pull that together while I heat seam it and heat set it. Is it worth it? I would say so. You know, this carpet, it's had some wear, but visibly it's not in bad condition, and you'd probably get away with this carpet for another 5 years. So I would say yes, you know, especially with it being a rental market, that would be definitely worth doing. All right, let's crack on anyway. Okay, so vacuuming is done in every room. There was actually more than I originally thought, and that is because the carpets are dark. Going over with vacuuming is very important. I mean, today I'm going to be using the truck mount, you know, and that's going to kick out 210 Celsius. We're going to have it full bore, so we're going to be sanitizing the carpets to somewhat with the heat alone, and then obviously you've got your solution. Now, solution of choice, I've gone with a micro splitting solution, and that works slightly different to your kind of high alkaline rinsers and pre-sprays. So basically it departs the soiling from the fibre, lifts it ready to be extracted like normal, but with micro splitters, many of them are filled with kind of oxidizers such as hydrogen peroxide and things, and as they're burning out, it literally lowers the level, the pH of the solution, so it will actually dry out at a neutral. It will be around a 7, 6.5 or a 7. It's a 10.5. So there's only one carpet that I'll be spraying with something else, and that is the upstairs bedroom, because that is actually a wool carpet. Now, on first inspection, it looked like a polyprop, but it's not. It's a wool carpet. So although it's got delamination and things, I'm still going to be hitting that with a neutral cleaner separately. So I will do every room with this. We've got about 10.5 litres there. So that's going to do this lounge, the dining room next to us, the stairs and landing, and 3 bedrooms. So what does that work out at? Probably about 1.5 litres per room. And then obviously using the truck mount, we're going to take as much moisture as possible back out of it. I don't personally do kind of 1 wet pass, 2 dry passes. I normally do maybe 2 wet passes, meaning backwards and forwards. So going with a pile, going with the grain of the carpet so that I'm flushing both sides. A lot of people might think, well, you should go north and south, east and west, but just going backwards and forwards will be sufficient. And then I'll probably go over with about 4 dry passes. So I'm trying to get the carpets as dry as possible, as quick as possible. And with most of them being synthetic, they're only going to take probably 2 to 3 hours, I would say, to dry out if you give enough dry passes. With a machine like my own, if you was using a portable, maybe longer. Let's be honest, there's a lot of companies out there that say an hour, 2 hours with a portable machine. Unless you're doing 10 dry strokes, you're probably going to be looking at about 12 hours to be fully dry, and that's even on a synthetic. So I'm real, I say it as it is. The more dry passes you give, the sooner your carpets are going to be dry, and that's going to get you more repeat custom, because the customers, they obviously want clean carpets. But what a lot of companies don't think about is your customers also want them to dry super fast. They don't want any downtime, especially if they've got furniture moved out the rooms and they want to move it back in. So the solution of choice, like I say, is the micro splitter. It is Restore It from a company in the UK called RestoreMate. Really good product. Like I say, it's self-neutralized as well. And we're going to be using a Works Hydra-Shot sprayer. So these are really good, they do last. The battery's got good time as well. I always charge them once I've kind of finished pre-spraying on the job. And I use this for most carpets, to be fair. Sometimes I'll use my canister with a smaller jet because I want to mist it a little bit better. Let's say a little bit less solution going down. But it all depends. For today, I'm going to be using this. Now, with vacuum, like I say, you do start to realise and find problems. We've got some burns, you know, quite a few in fact. So it's from obviously the fire, spitting out ambers and coals and what have you. So yeah, it's brought that up. So let's get pre-sprayed and then we'll use the floor wash, which is a CRB agitation machine. Okay, so the pre-spraying is done in every room. It's just time to agitate. Yeah, so as you can see, just with a good vacuum in, a good quality pre-spray and a good quality agitation will get you results in itself. Obviously, if you was using an encapsulation solution or method, I could now go over this with either a rotary or an orbital using a good quality pad. And it would be job done. But like I say, today we are using rinse extraction, so we'll get the truck mount set up in a moment. I'm just gonna go and agitate the rest of the areas and we'll go next door to the dining room and we'll have a look at that stain to see how that's getting on once we've put the pre-spray down. So let's see how it's working. Okay, so the pre-spray's been down probably 10 minutes. As you can see, it's working on the stain now. So the oxidizers in there are literally taking the colouring out of that carpet. I'm going to give it a little agitation now and we'll see what happens then. And then we'll come back to it with a flush. Sometimes you can get away literally with a dwell and an agitation. It's holding on there. It has considerably faded, but I can see it's still holding on. You can just see the tinge of it. It's still holding on. Different angles show them differently. On the camera, it's not showing up too bright, which is normally the other way around. Normally on a camera, you kind of see soiling that the naked eye don't see. But today, it's having a reverse effect, because I can see that quite plainly still, but looking through the camera, it doesn't look as bad. You can still see it, but it doesn't look as bad. And obviously, I wouldn't be happy leaving this carpet knowing that I can get that out 100%. I wouldn't be happy at leaving it at that. So a little bit more of an agitation and a good hot flush should sort that out. So not too much out of the carpets, to be fair. It looks like there was no pets living here before. This is just literally looks like human particles of air, probably elderly. Looks quite grey in areas. As you can see, the brushes on this machine are self-cleaning on the guardrail there, so as it spins around it collects it, brings it up onto here. These remove, so you can obviously wash out and then you can safely remove your particulate. So that's that stage done, guys. The vacuum, that's what we got out. So like I say, they were heavier than I thought. That's 4 bedrooms, a lounge, dining room and a stairs and landing. So it's quite a good little powerful vacuum. It's not very expensive. I think it cost me about £150. It does a fantastic job, you know. So yeah, you don't have to spend a fortune, but I would say the best code of practice is to go through every step. Right, so it's a dry day today. I like to give the van and the machine as much ventilation as possible. So obviously, you know, we've got the main side door open, but I've also got the back doors open and the dump tank open. It's not too hot, it wouldn't be a problem, but it just keeps the machine a lot cooler. We're running 100 foot of solution line and hose on this job, which is more than enough. You'll probably get away with 75. Another thing that I wanted to point out was when it comes to tying up your hoses and things, there's all different kind of wraps out there. You've got wraps that have got Velcro on, and you can hook your hoses on and things like that, but I like to use these. I think they're called crocodile clips or something. I mean, I got them off the internet. I think something like Amazon. They're not much. You've got so many different slots to tighten it up. The reason I like them is because they're very, very forgiving with them being a soft rubber. So you can get away with obviously going around painted banister with caution. Obviously, sometimes if it's painted, I'll wrap a cloth around the suction hose just in case there's any vigorous movement, because the last thing you want is to obviously be replacing things or repairing, let's say, you know, if you was to have to paint that. So yeah, suction's on, let's get cleaning. So sometimes I'll do 2 wet strokes and 4 dry ones, or I'll do 2 wet strokes, 2 dry ones, and then I'll come back over it all when I've done. It just depends how I feel on the day, just making sure that I obviously do enough dry strokes. That's the main important thing. Right then guys, that is it, all done. It took us about 2.5 hours to do it, so that ain't bad at all. As you can see, it's come up really nice. Had some wear areas down here that shone up quite bad because obviously soiling level, but now that's it's dimmed it somewhat. It's obviously still got the wear, but it looks a lot better. Quite happy at the stain as well. I can just very slightly, well, I think I can very slightly see it, but I'm quite happy at that, to be fair. So that's this room all done, lights off. Then we've got the main lounge, quite heavily soiled around here. That's done quite well. I'm going to leave the shark teeth in. Customer came back to pay me and said, oh, they look brilliant like that. Some people like them. It's going to be neutralised, so obviously left in the kind of right state. So nothing's going to stay, you know, there's going to be no hard residues left or anything like that. These carpets are super soft, and that's exactly how they're going to be when they're fully dry as well. So I'm just going to go up now and make sure, obviously, those rat tails that I've seen, I'm just going to pop away. There's not many. came up really nice. Really happy with it. This landing and stairs carpet came up really nice, to be fair. I am happy with that. Landing, again, like I say, really nice. This room came up really nice. Obviously, we've tucked away all that radiator, carpet down there, so it looks a lot better. Okay, that's this room. I used an encapsulation solution, neutral pH for this bedroom, wall carpet. Like I say, at first I thought it was a polypropylene by eye, but then obviously when I was backing it, I could clearly see that it was in fact wool. And sometimes for yous who are starting out, wool will have a certain odour once it's wet, a bit like wet sheep. And then obviously that signifies to you that it is definitely wool if you've ran your test but you're still not sure, kind of thing. I would always recommend doing a burn test because that's going to tell you exactly what the fibre is. But obviously as the years go on, you become more and more experienced when it comes to fibre types, and you can just look at a carpet and know. Sometimes you can get caught out, so just be careful. Make sure you absolutely know. So yeah, I'm very happy with that room. This, it's not really a room, it's more like a study, but obviously that came up nice. And then we've got, this bedroom had quite a few stains actually. There was one down here, there was one over there. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that bedroom. There was a lot of kind of soiling just around here, around where the bed went, so I'm quite happy with that. That's come up nice too. So all in all, I'm very happy with it all. So till next time guys, take care of yourself and I'll see you in the next one.